Bonjour, new moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the Afro-Latina goddess of witches, and you're aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. And you are hearing me, Josie the Mustang, without caffeine of any kind and no sleep. But I really wanted to power through these episodes, so I don't know how long they're going to be. I don't know the vibes yet, but something has been on my mind lately that I've been wanting to talk to you about. So now that I am able to talk again, I do still have to be careful no matter what with my voice. So in my head, I always want the episodes to be longer since it's a podcast, and I know that typically people prefer for them to be at least an hour. Some of you don't mind that it's shorter than that, but if I could have it my way, they would at least be an hour. But in the meantime, since I'm not sure how long this will be, just know that I'm trying. Know that I am getting better. And that when you're hearing this, I'm still in recovery. Okay? If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back to the episodes from May. I think it would have been one of the episodes in May where I talk about it. I think the episode's called Get In Here, New Moons, where I briefly talk about being in the ER. And then I think I mention it again more in depth in another episode, so I won't get into it again. But with Hoshi's birthday coming up by the time you're hearing this, and my summer EP, which is called Summer Solstice, which is also the title of an upcoming series, it is time for me to get back into what manifestation is supposed to be about, which is fun and celebration. Okay, I do also want to tell you all, you remember the Eastern bluebirds that made a whole nest on my balcony? Their babies have hatched, and I'm certain that when you're hearing this, that their babies are probably leaving the nest soon. And it's just been one of the nicest gifts that I've ever received from the universe, is being able to watch the progress from watching the mom and dad bird sit on the balcony together, which is the cutest, almost cartoon level Disney thing I've ever seen in my life, to seeing the mama bird just sit in the nest for a while and wait for the birds to hatch, and her getting so used to seeing me that she would look directly at me. It has been, I don't know, just one of the most beautiful things I've ever gotten to see. I absolutely love animals. I think that I've mentioned this a million times, and it's why when I did the charity episode, for Podcast-On, it's why I chose an animal shelter. Is that, yes, Hoshi is the love of my life and always will be, but I've always just loved animals in general. So being able to be a part of that has been really special. So I just wanted to give you guys that update. And by the time that you hear this, like I said, the baby birds will likely be leaving the nest soon. A lot of my episodes do need to be pre-recorded because I have a lot going on with the Lua Nova brand and business. So I don't really get to just sit and record in real time like I used to anymore. Okay. But that's okay, because you're always going to get episodes every single Monday. So no matter what. And bonus episodes come out on Fridays. But something I want to get into today is something that is a very common theme in my music and my books. By the time that this episode comes out, my second book, which is actually a guide, it's a small guide, has already been released. I have written 2 ebooks myself. One is for Aphrodite devotees, but it's actually more for women than just Aphrodite devotees. And it is based on self-concept, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And also my second book, which is called Lucky Girl, and it is a guide that centers around Lucky Girl Syndrome, which became a big part of my brand accidentally. It started off way back in season 1 when I did an episode on Lucky Girl Syndrome. At the time, that concept had gone viral, and I briefly talked about it. Back then, I didn't really know how to structure an episode, so I really don't recommend the season 1 version. But was it this season or last season where I talked about, let me see if I can find it, where I redid the Lucky Girl Syndrome episode, but I redid it, and it's actually one of my most listened to episodes. And then I wrote a song about Lucky Girl Syndrome, and it ended up being, I think, the second most streamed song that I've ever written. And the original version and the remix have the same lyrics, but I changed up the remix completely because I think that a remix should be different. But you can check those out on my debut album, Ethereal Pop Alchemist. But we are now moving into Summer Solstice, which is my EP. It is 4 songs about manifestation. And in the bonus episode that is coming up, I will be getting more into that. Okay. But let's talk about self-concept. How many of you, by the show of hands class, are familiar with self-concept? Okay. And if you're not, it's fine. It's not just a buzzword. It is not just a cute term that I made up for you. It is a real area of manifestation that oftentimes people aren't really sure what to do with. Okay. And I think a lot of manifestation teachers, including myself, are not really sure how to approach it. Okay. So I want you to think about what self-concept is. And if you're familiar, I want you to think for a moment about what your self-concept is. What is your core belief about yourself? It's because self-concept is the story that you constantly believe about you. Okay. So what I want you to do is think about that for just one moment. Okay. Give me one sec. I know you all probably thought that the dance break was about to be inserted. Nope, not today, guys. The dance break will be later on. But I want, okay, so you've had a moment to think about what your self-concept is, right? So remember, it is the story that you believe about you. It's your internal identity. It is not just a temporary idea or mood of what you are. It's not what you want to be. It's actually what you assume you already are. Okay. And this is why I focus a lot on being your highest self. You can say that your self-concept is kind of like the lens that your brain uses to interpret everything. And I mean everything. So just to give you an example, if a person's self-concept, and this is the negative version of it, is something like this: nothing ever works out for me. And by the way, universe, I am not referring to myself. I am using examples. People always leave. I always struggle financially. Why do I always have to work twice as hard? Then here's what will happen. Whenever anything good appears to you, your mind will unconsciously filter reality through these beliefs that you've created for yourself. Okay. But if somebody has a positive self-concept, it sounds like this: I'm extremely valuable. I'm naturally supported by everybody. What do you mean? I always attract opportunities everywhere I go. Not only am I memorable, but I change the entire frequency of every room I walk into. People love and respect me. You see the difference? And so these people move through life as the main character, which I know is a corny concept, but it is true. You are the main character of your own life. You should be. But many of you play small. And so this is why I wanted to focus on self-concept, because I've talked to you relentlessly about healing and your nervous system. But like I said, we got to focus on the fun stuff. Because if you want to go back to just focusing on just the healing and the nervous system, that's what season 3 is all about. That's what it's for you to always go back to that. But season 4 is supposed to be about fun. If I hadn't experienced as much loss and trauma as I have this year, but I want the rest of season 4 to be focused on the fun of manifestation. Okay. In honor of Hoshi and in honor of my future highest self. Okay. All of the above, and your future highest self, because just like you have helped me manifest the life I want, I believe 100% that my job is to help you get exactly what you want out of your life and not charge you $1 million to do it. Okay. So oftentimes when it comes to manifestation teachers, and I cannot include myself in this, thankfully, it's all about aesthetics, your outer life, mirrors. You know what I mean? When you come across a lot of manifestation teachers, they want to show you what car that they're in. So a lot of the time they will do videos inside of their car. I notice that people who actually know what they're talking about focus a lot on the teachings and not so much on the aesthetics. For instance, the number one teacher that the majority of us learn manifestation from is Neville Goddard. When you think of Neville Goddard, you picture, by the way, he was actually Latinx. You picture this man in a suit who had the transatlantic, now the word escapes me, a transatlantic, voice. What is the word I'm trying to think of, guys? I know you're screaming the word at me. Accent. Oh, that was the word I was. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, New Moons. And so he focused so much on just the teachings, which is where I learned my style from. Of course, it's my own style, but I don't focus on the aesthetics. I know that people oftentimes go to my TikTok. They want to see me. My music is very aesthetic. Even my album covers there's a concept behind them too, with them always having a collage look to them. All of that is an aesthetic, right? But the actual teachings are the important part, which is why I always made sure that my podcast is an audio podcast, because something I see that is missing in the podcast world is the focus on the actual work. Obviously, there's a ton of podcasts that don't actually focus on anything. They're just people chatting about hot topics. But for those people that are focusing on trying to teach you something, it can't be about just the aesthetics. And so in order to teach you about self-concept, I need you to really zone in on how you see yourself and how you want to see yourself, what you want to change. Okay. Because here's something that I noticed when it comes to affirmations, and why I don't do affirmation episodes really, because I want to redo them whenever I get back to it, is my listeners oftentimes will come to me and say, why aren't affirmations working? What am I doing wrong? And I will say, what exactly are you feeling when you say the affirmations? Because what you're feeling is actually your self-concept, okay? Because, for instance, if I give you a bunch of money affirmations, and you're saying, and in your head, you're like, I really want more money, but your self-concept is, but I'm somebody who always struggles financially, then your deeper identity wins. Your self-concept wins. And so this is why we have to change that. And yes, I'm going to get to that, but I wanted to explain your self-concept first. Okay. And so when people say, well, Josie, I've listened to you for 4 seasons and I don't manifest what I want. Well, you're right, because you manifest whatever it is that you believe that you are. This is why I talk a lot about the feeling, the frequency, being in the frequency. This is why I even say thank you for aligning with the frequency, because every time that you tune into this show, whether you know it or not, you are showing up for yourself. You are saying, I care enough about my future, my goals, and what it is that I want out of life to show up for myself. Okay. And so whether you know it or not, there's this other part of your self-concept that's actually quite positive. All right. And obviously this is referring to those of you whose self-concept needs some work, not those of you who, well, you're good, you know? So hold on. Let me scroll through my notes here. What? Not me not understanding what I typed. Okay. So I do want you to think of this. There are real world circumstances, right? Trauma, hardship, all of it does affect your self-concept, but that is why I focus on healing. That is why I have focused on nervous system regulation, so that your self-concept automatically influences everything that you're navigating in a positive manner. Okay. And so here's how this applies to your everyday life. In 2 different ways. And I'm going to use the concept of finding a job, since in the United States, at least, the economy is terrible and people are struggling. People with master's degrees can't find jobs. You know what I mean? So I want to focus on that. Let's say person A has this particular concept. Oh my God, nobody's even paying attention to me. Nobody will hire me. Employees never see my value. And so what happens when they do apply for jobs? It's half-heartedly. They're already expecting that they're going to be rejected. If they do get any kind of an interview, they're apologetic, nervous, anxious the whole time. They give up very quickly. and they interpret maybe silence. Let's say that they applied to, because I know many people are applying to hundreds of jobs at a time. I know I have. They interpret that silence as though, oh, nobody's going to pay me any attention. I'm not wanted. Okay. Whereas person B, who has a different self-concept, is, but I am very much so capable, and somebody will recognize that. A human being, not an AI bot, they will recognize it. My resume will be seen. I'm going to apply consistently. I'm going to present myself with confidence because I don't know anything but confidence. I'm going to show up professionally. Okay, so you see the difference? Now, what I'm going to be talking to you about in part 2 is how to build a healthy self-concept, okay? Because what I need you to understand, it's not about toxic positivity. It's not about pretending to be perfect. It's not about lying to yourself. It's not about acting like you're better than anybody, because that's something that I notice a lot with people who think that they are spiritually aligned, is that you're not spiritually aligned if you're hurting people. You're not spiritually aligned if you're lying to people. You're not spiritually aligned if you're backstabbing people. If you're not being 100% honest with them and yourselves, you're not aligned at all. You're very much so out of alignment. And so you wonder, well, why is it, I'm kind of manifesting and things kind of seem like they're okay, but then they crash and burn. That's why. Because whether you like it or not, whether you're comfortable with it or not, yes, you can be an awful person, you can be a terrible person and manifest. However, please don't think that you're going to keep any of those manifestations. Please don't think that the very people that you wanted around you are going to stay. No, they're not. Because the frequency that you're actually giving off is not a positive one. Your self-concept is shit. And so this is why I'm like, we're not going to be focusing on toxic positivity. We're not going to be focusing on everything's rainbows, but I'm actually a shit person. Absolutely not. That's not what I teach. All right. So in part 2, I'm going to be going over how to change that self-concept, how to actually apply regular principles, the law of attraction, the law of assumption, all of it, universal laws, all of the above, into your new self-concept. Okay. And yes, I would say you do need to heal. You got to work on that nervous system. You have to work on how you treat people and how you treat yourself. You're not the victim. And yes, I'm talking to a particular group of people who I can tell my message seems to always go over your head. You're not the victim. How is it that you don't get that the basic concept of empathy? You mistreat people and yet wonder why you haven't been able to get that Ferrari you keep talking about so much. Why is it that your friends are manifesting everything that they want, but you're not? You know why? Because they don't treat people like shit. Because even if deep down they're not 100% in, let's say, their personal relationship, even if deep down they're not sure what their next move is in their personal life when it comes to the people around them, they still make sure that they don't treat those people like shit. Not because they're afraid of what the universe will do, because the universe isn't going to punish you. It's because they don't have it in them to want to treat people like that. They don't see the point of it. And so when some of you come to me and you're like, well, I've listened to all of your teachings. Why is it still so hard for me to manifest money? I've listened to all of your teachings. Why is it so hard for me to manifest the love of my life, etc.? And I think to myself, well, besides how you feel, how are you treating others? And there's a reason why I'm focusing heavy on this right now, because I see it a lot. And that you think manifestation is just an aesthetic. You think spirituality is about wearing crystals and head wraps. No, it's not. None of it is. The reason why I, as an actual witch, don't try to fit the aesthetic of what a witch looks like is because there is no aesthetic. I don't wear 1,000,000 crystals. I can sometimes. Sometimes if I feel drawn to, I will. I don't feel this need to look quote unquote witchy. I'd rather not. It's not me. It's not for me, but I love that aesthetic. It's just not my aesthetic. The reason why I go out of my way to be loyal to people and treat people well is not because I'm afraid of what the universe will do. It's because I don't have it in me to be anything but loyal. I don't have it in me to be anything but kind to people, even when they weren't very kind to me. Okay? So, I want to focus next week, not next week, the week after that, on the following. Hold on. I hit the wrong thing on my iPad. How we speak to ourselves, proving to our brain that your new self-concept is working. Not using your current reality as your permanent proof of what life will be like forever. And to pay attention to the automatic identity statements, okay? Such as I always, I never, people always, nothing ever, things like that. We're going to fix that vocabulary, all right? We're going to focus on that next week. The week after next, because remember, next week is your collective reading. So with that being said, New Moons, I'm going to wrap up talking about self-concept right here. But there's something that I want to announce. You know what? Let's have a dance break. One moment.
Mueve la colita, New Moons! This is the Sacral Chakra segment, a brief musical interlude designed to heal your nervous system. The following track is an original work written, produced, composed, and partially performed by Josie the Mustang. All rights reserved. Let's dance!
God is more activated, I'm aligned and magnetic. Kick back, relax, another text pops on my screen. Ding ding, that's money coming to me. I blink blink and my bank deposits looking like a social security number. Grab your drinks, we're about to be outside this summer. This is Empress card energy. This is prosecco luxury. My chakras are aligned. I'm looking extra fine. Wealth is my frequency. If I want it, it's mine. Ding, ding, ding. Another text from the universe. Ping, ping, ping. Watch the funds disperse. It's safe for me to be financially free. Ring, ring, ring. Money's calling me. Nails done so I can count my funds. Looking pretty. High-rise apartment overlooking the city. Happiness raises my currency. Moving rich with no sense of urgency. I'm valuable, I'm meant for good things. I deserve all the fortune the stars bring. This is Empress card energy. This is prosecco luxury. My chakras are aligned. I'm looking extra fine. Wealth is my frequency. If I want it, it's mine. Ding, ding, ding. Another text from the universe. Ping, ping, ping. Watch the funds disperse. It's safe for me to be financially free. Ding, ding, ding. Another text from the universe. Ping, ping, ping. Watch the funds disperse. It's safe for me to be financially free. Ring, ring, ring. Money's calling me.
Announcement. And by the way, the song that you just heard is Text from the Universe, and it is on my debut album, Ethereal Pop Alchemist. You can listen to Ethereal Pop Alchemist on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, you name it, and it's likely on there. And there are 2 new bonus tracks that you can also listen to. The Ethereal Pop Alchemist bonus tracks are also available on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. All right. Now the bonus tracks, you'll notice I'm not focusing much on, and it's because I'm going to let them just kind of do their own thing. They're in the universe of Lua Nova now, and you will hear them likely eventually on a future episode. I chose not to put them in today's episode because I'm thinking in my head, hey, I would rather you go find them. I would rather not focus on them today, since I have an entirely new EP that I have to focus on instead. But those bonus tracks are already on all the major music platforms, And one of the songs is the original version of As Above, So Below, and the other one is called Mirror Affirmations. Mirror Affirmations doesn't actually say Mirror Affirmations anywhere in the song. The concept was based on not just when I'm feeling down, but when many of you are feeling down about yourselves. And this is me talking to you about how I want you to see yourself. Okay. So it is heavily based in self-concept. So definitely check out those 2 bonus tracks if you haven't already. I assume by now you would have, which is why I'm not focusing too much on them today. Okay. So let's talk about the announcement. The announcement is the collective readings. The collective readings are going to change. And the reason why I sound excited about it is because I already know that you're going to like what's about to change about them. So from now on, the collective readings, which means that these will likely be some pretty long episodes, they are going to now cover all 12 zodiac signs. So I do not do timestamps. I do not expect my team to tell you the timestamps. So whatever is transcribing my podcast will be where you get the timestamps for whatever zodiac sign I get to. So no worries. For instance, when I'm going through all 12 zodiac signs, I'm going to say, Aries, you're up next. Things like that. You know what I mean? So that you know. And I'm not going to be doing them in order. So typically the zodiac starts with Aries, ends with Pisces, right? And then you would go through all 12 in the regular zodiac chart. But I'm not going to be doing mine that way because I don't want to. So what I'm going to be doing instead is like this: Earth, air, fire, water. Okay, so earth signs, your readings are always first. Air signs next. Fire, water. Now, if I forget that order, don't sue me, okay? I would rather do my 12 zodiac signs that way. So earth signs, for instance, I'll do Virgo first, Taurus, Capricorn. Air signs, Aquarius, etc., etc., etc. Got it? All right. So that is the announcement, but also Patreon members. First of all, Patreon members, thank you for sticking with me. I know that I don't update a lot, and it's because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my Patreon. It needs some growth. It needs a different concept than Lua Nova. And so I've come up exactly with what I want to do. And this will be the main tier. Now, the other tier is not going away. In fact, if you're already a Patreon member, you don't have to change anything. You will have access to what it is that I'm about to announce. Patreon members, from now on, my Patreon will be focused on tarot, but not just any focus. You see, a lot of you write me personal questions about your life, and I know that you would like for me to do personal readings, but I don't anymore. So this will be personal readings. How does this concept work? Under the tarot tier, or the tier that you're already under, which I think is the other side of the moon, I don't know the name of the tier. Both of these are $5 a month, so long as you go under the right website. For instance, I think if you go and sign up directly through the Patreon website, it doesn't charge you extra. But if you're, for instance, on an iPhone or an iPad or something, I think it'll charge you extra to sign up. So go through the website. I think that's the right way. And so that you're not charged extra. But what you're going to get under the tarot tier, which I have not named yet, but it'll be up in probably the next few days, is that you will be able, whenever you submit questions to the team, you will be able to ask me questions related to tarot. On the Patreon, those questions will be answered for you. And we will also be using the tarot to talk about what's going on in pop culture and the world. Okay. So for those of you who, for instance, ask me about true crime cases or politics, we will now be using the tarot, but that will be under a paid tier. Now, you all know I still don't do any sort of spiritual work without consent. Therefore, if you ask me about, let's say, Megan Thee Stallion directly, I'm not answering that. But if you ask me, well, what do you see for around Megan Thee Stallion? What do you see for her life in general? What do you see where it's not necessarily directly about her? Maybe the people around her, maybe something that she's a part of, like Broadway. What do you see around her? that you can talk about. That is what I'll be using tarot to do, because I'm still very much so somebody who is ethical when it comes to reading. Okay. If these people can't give me their consent the way you can, then I cannot do a personal reading for them related to them. They didn't ask me to, right? So legally, I need to protect myself. And also spiritually, I just don't think that it's cool when people just start doing tarot readings on, somebody that's passed away or somebody that is a public figure that didn't ask for you to read their tarot. That always grosses me out that people do that. So I will be talking about their situations, not about them directly. All right. I will be talking about energy around them, not about them directly. Got it? So that will be the new tarot tier. And so let's say that you're a listener and you send me in a question. What you would do is say, I'm a Patreon member. You're going to prove it by, letting my team know, send them a screenshot or something so that they know you are in fact a Patreon member, and make sure you put Patreon in your subject line, Patreon member. And then from there, you can ask your question. It could be about you. It could be about whatever. And that doesn't mean you get to send me 100 questions, but because obviously my team will be keeping up with that as well. But your questions will now be answered on Patreon directly. So I'll get to say, hey, Jane Doe, I got your question. Let's pull out the tarot. Let's see what your answer is regarding your ex-boyfriend who won't leave you alone. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun for me, because now I get to essentially do a ton of personal readings for all of you, and it'll be affordable for all of you. So that will be a $5 tier, and just give me a moment, because it's going to be a tier that you'll immediately know is for that. For instance, it'll be like Josie's Tarot Room, something like that. You know what I mean? That's probably what I'll call it. But that is going to wrap it up for the day, new moons. But before we go, I'm going to check my phone to see if the universe has sent us a text yet. One moment. Oh, we got a text from Spirit. And this week's text from the universe says, this card came out fast, 1919, transformation. It is asked that you take notice that you hold within your hands the power to change your life. Within this realization, you will feel your sense of purpose and your connection to new beginnings. And the affirmation here says, I release what I no longer need to carry, and I open myself to the transformative energy of the divine. And new moons, what I'm going to also be incorporating in today's text from the universe is a card from the Mystical Moon Oracle deck that I never use. I really should. And Patreon members, from now on, when I'm going to be doing these Patreon tarot readings, exclusive Patreon tarot readings for $5 a month, I'm going to be pulling also from the Mystical Moon Oracle deck, which kind of goes more in depth with answers, okay? And so the card that just came out has the number 7, and it says it's time to move forward. And so that will be your bonus text from the universe today. All right. But I got the new moons for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. If you have questions for me, if you want to send in those questions and make sure that they get read on the Patreon with my tarot deck, such as, I hate my roommate. What's going on with them? I need a new job. What do you see for me? Things like that. What you will do is go to luanovapodcast.net. Again, that is luanovapodcast.net. And then from there, right up under the picture that you see of my podcast logo, which is me, and it's a pink background, you will see the option to email my team. When you email my team, that question gets filtered through them and sent to me. Okay. The only things that get filtered out that never get to me are spam. If you're trying to sell something, if you are trying your hardest to just get on the show and you actually have never listened to an episode of mine, all of those get filtered out and I never see them. All right. I never see those emails, but everybody else, the actual listeners, your emails go to me. All right. And so speaking of emails and things of that nature, I want to talk to you a little bit about how else you can reach me. TikTok. I was very regularly posting on my TikTok stories until I got sick again. And I'm going to get back to that. But the official TikTok for Lua Nova is Lua Nova Podcast. Okay. And in the show notes, you will now start to see the TikTok listed. All right. There's a lot of lists there. There's a lot there in the show notes. That's what I meant to say. Speaking of the show notes, you can also find the link for Aphrodite's algorithm, which is the ebook that I wrote for Aphrodite devotees and women in general, but not even just women. Anybody who identifies with their femininity, this book was written for you. Okay. And yes, there is another ebook. I don't focus a lot on it, but it is about Lucky Girl Syndrome. It's just a short guide. You can find both of my ebooks on Amazon, but you can find Aphrodite's algorithm by going to goddessoflove.net. You can purchase the ebook from there, right through Amazon. There's a link there. Or you can access the audiobook album, because it is the only ebook of mine where I actually read the book to you. So for those of you who like audiobooks, go on Spotify, go on Apple Music, and you can listen to the audio version of Aphrodite's algorithm. And typically you can listen to it for free. You don't have to have the paid tiers of any of these platforms in order to listen to my music or my book. Okay. I want to take a moment to thank those of you who support Lua Nova and me, because everything from being able to purchase my trademark to the very microphone that I'm talking to you on, all of it is with every single dime that I can scrape together for Lua Nova. And so there are new ways that you can support me. One is by going to buymeacoffee.com/Lua Nova podcast. There, it's up to you if you want to donate however much, but all of that money always goes to helping the Lua Nova brand grow. Everything from the very iPad that is next to me, powering it, to anything that Lua Nova needs, to my team, etc. All right. You can also go to throne.com/Josie the Mustang, because some of you would prefer to gift me. And now you'll be able to do so directly. Just go to the show notes. The link again is throne.com. It's like a throne that a queen sits on. Throne.com/Josie the Mustang. And the Cash App username for Lua Nova is Lua Nova Podcast. I'm sorry, $ Lua Nova Podcast. Now, obviously, you all know by now that the Patreon is growing, and there's going to be a really big tier that is coming for you for $5 a month. And so if you would like to get in on listening to those tarot readings that will be a lot more in depth, that will be a lot more blunt, and where I never have to hold back, then you can go to patreon.com/the Lua Nova Podcast. You can also download the Patreon app and look up the Lua Nova Podcast. Okay. Copyright 2025, Lua Nova, all rights reserved. I think I covered everything. I need to start putting all of these like boring links that I have to go over in the front of the show. That's what I need to do, guys. But will I? I don't know, new moons. You never know with me. But I've been talking too long. I do have to rest my voice. And so I will talk to you next week. Ciao, ciao. Please be safe. Please be kind to other people. And please be kind to yourself. I appreciate you for being here. That's what brigada means. I'm sorry. Wow. I'm stumbling all over my words. That's what brigada means. Brigada. My God, I need something to drink immediately. All right, new moons. Ciao, ciao. Obrigada.